everyone. I'm Shauna Sanford along with attorney John Redmann, and welcome to this special web edition of Power of Attorney with John Redmann. We are talking with Dale Standifer. She's the executive director of the Metropolitan Center for Women and Children here in New Orleans. And Dale, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time. We're talking about domestic abuse. It is a very real issue for a lot of people out there. And the one thing that we were talking about beforehand is this question of why doesn't she just leave? I'm sure you hear that all the time.
We do. We hear that a lot. There are a couple of reasons. One is she may not have any place to go. That's one issue. No safe place to go. She may be afraid that if she goes to a family member, that he will track her down there and harm other people. But I think that the primary reason is she just doesn't realize the danger she's in. And one of the ways I've explained this to grand juries and other people is that if you take a pot of water and you put lukewarm water on the stove, and you take a frog, and you put the frog in the water, it's very happy. It likes the water. Mm-hmm. But then you turn the stove on, mm-hmm. and it's warm and it's relaxing, and the frog is very, very happy. And all of a sudden, the frog is beginning to realize, I'm getting lethargic. Oh my God, it's boiling, and now I'm too weak to get out. Mm-hmm. So I think that happens a lot with women. It starts out usually, I mean, these guys don't start out abusive. They start out, I love you, I cherish you, I want to be with you the rest of my life. And then there starts with some verbal abuse, maybe some pushing, rough sex, slapping, whatever, and it usually escalates if there's no intervention, mm-hmm. i.e. maybe going to jail or calling the police or something like that, and to the point where it just takes off on its own. And by that time, the woman may not be able to leave, just like the frog, until she's in a weakened condition. She's got no place to go. She's scared to death. And he has said, if you leave me, I will track you down and kill you. And by the way, your family and our kids. And it happens enough that even women who aren't really told that, if you read the papers, you know, go online and see the stories. It happens a lot. Yeah. Because a lot of these guys, say guys, it could be the other way around. It could be, you know, men being abused. But
and there are cases of men.
There are. They're fairly rare, but there are. But I think a lot of times they just don't come forward. But he has everything invested in her. Everything invested in her. And so if she leaves, he's devastated. And I've even had instances, there was one case where the guy said, he left a note saying, I'm going to take her out and our child out so that we can be together in heaven. Wow. Oh, you talk about strange thinking. But he actually left a note saying that's what he was going to do, because the woman his wife was going to leave and take their child, and he wanted them to be together. So when people get to be that rageful that they're going to murder somebody, they're not thinking straight.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a very important point. And John, something that you were talking about a little bit earlier, for family members, for friends, for loved ones who are seeing, you know, their loved ones in situations that are not good for them. The thing is to be helpful and to understand that they really are not in their right mind, for lack of a better description.
And what do you do? I mean, you try to get through to them, but so often it seems like you have to get them to care about themselves first.
Right. Yeah. When we have funds, we do caregiver support groups, so that if we do have family members, usually parents, who say, oh my God, my daughter's going through this and she can't see it. Sometimes the family members come in first, and we educate them, and we try to get them to understand that if their daughter or whoever doesn't leave the situation, the children learn what they live. Mm-hmm. And their daughters may grow up thinking, well, this is what happens. We actually have women in our shelter that don't think that there are nice men in the world. Wow. I'm so proud we have males on staff now, not many, but a few. And they're going, oh my God, these guys are so nice. Yeah. And they treat me so well. So one of our roles is to say, not all men are brutes, not all men are harmful. Don't settle for somebody who's going to treat you like a second-class citizen. Yeah. So sometimes there's a lot of education and support that goes into that realization. And a lot of times we have to really sit down with women and say, okay, I hear you say, I'm not a battered woman. I'm not a battered woman. Do you admit that the relationship isn't all that healthy? Well, yeah, I can admit that. Mm-hmm. And then slowly you ask them all the different ways in which their life has been affected. Are you being pressured to have intimate relations when you don't want to? Are you being threatened that if you leave, your abuser's going to take away the children? Has he told you to quit your job so that now you're financially dependent? Has he isolated you? Yeah. They're just so. Has he threatened you?
Yeah. These are all warning signs. That
big warning signs.
Anybody out there who notices these warning signs with themselves or maybe with someone they know or care about, that should make them stop and think.
That, and then there's a couple of others. Extreme jealousy. I want to know where you are all the time, day in, day out. Oh, let me give you a phone, but let me not tell you there's a GPS in it.
Right.
I want to know where you are. I'm going to text you. Particularly young girls, they find it flattering. He wants to be in constant contact.
At first, it seems very flattering.
It is, but then it escalates over time.
Right.
And so pathological jealousy is one symptom. Any sort of cruelty to animals is huge. Jeffrey Dahmer did not start out with people. He started out with animals.
Big warning sign.
Yeah, so if somebody is able to be... The point of hurting another person is usually you have to objectify them. You can say, well, that's my baby mama. You know, that's not Mary, my beloved wife. And so just like if you had a bad day at the office and you came home and you saw your dog there, you might think, well, I'm just going to kick the dog. But if you say, oh my God, that's Fluffy,
Right.
then Fluffy has value and you wouldn't hurt Fluffy.
Right.
Fluffy is it.
Right.
Well, let me ask this, just for the sake of anybody out there, walk us through the process. Somebody finally gets the courage to say, you know what, this ain't right. This situation I'm in ain't right. And not only that, it's finally getting clear to me that the example that my kids see with me being disrespected so awfully, awful words even, I'm going to make that call. When someone makes the call and they tell you maybe that they feel they're in fear for their safety or their children's safety, walk us through that process.
They call us. The first thing we do is try to assess if they're safe at that moment. Are you at a safe place to even be making this call, or is he hiding out in the next room? So we assess that. And then we try to find out it's an empowerment model. What are you wanting to do? Now here's the issue. The lady who's calling might say, well, I think I only have 2 choices. And we might say, wait a minute, we think you have 5 choices. So broaden her options a little bit. Typically, we will try to make sure she's safe. We have multiple locations. We talked about shelters, but we have counseling offices in multiple places, at least for the moment. And so we'll try to get her to the nearest place that she can get to, transportation-wise, to sit down with a counselor. And then an individual safety plan will be developed. Okay, ma'am, we've reviewed your situation. We think you have enough evidence that a judge would probably sign a protective order. Therefore, let's make an appointment with our attorney or contact the DA's office, whoever we need to do that, to get you into the clerk of court. Can actually
This can happen within hours, within a day or 2? Or?
Within a day, certainly.
Okay.
Our crisis line is 24/7, so we can talk to you instantly. If you were in severe...
And there's no charge for any of these services?
No charge, ever.
Including having a place to go stay? No charge?
No charge.
Okay.
The only time there might be a charge is if a woman is filing a protective order and the court does not consider her to be in a pauper status. Typically, they will.
All right. Well, my understanding is, and this is something we'll double check and put on the website, if you assert that there's domestic abuse involved, the Supreme Court has come out with laws, I think going back almost 10 years, that say they may not be charged a filing fee. But maybe that's changed.
They may not. It's not that they shall not.
Okay.
Which is a legal distinction. And we've actually had parishes where they said, I don't care.
Well, shame on them.
I know.
But we're running short on time, so
sure.
let me let you finish walking us through the process.
So you've called, you've come in, you meet with a counselor who's trained. Many are licensed, some are not licensed, but they're trained. And he or she is going to make an individual plan for you. You need to go back and get your GED so that you can get a job so that you can be self-supporting. In the meantime, why don't you come to our support groups? Why don't you talk to other ladies who've gone through what you've gone through? Why don't we educate you on what is going on with your children, what it is they're seeing? And we have counseling for the children. They can bring their children to the center.
And that's provided for free?
Everything is free. Everything we do is free.
And it doesn't matter how many kids.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We just want to be very clear for our viewers out there.
And what will happen is each woman is treated as an individual. So what a lady who has a PhD and in a very specialized field and could find work, will simply help her find a job. A lady who doesn't have the education will suggest ways in which she can get the education. If we're full, she still is our responsibility, and we will call a sister program and say, we will actually bring you to the bus station, get you a bus ticket. You can go to Baton Rouge or Shreveport or Lafayette. The shelter there, we've made arrangements. They're going to come get you from the bus station and put you in their shelter. So even if we're full, or if, for instance, we had a lady whose husband was a drug dealer and he was over the top, and she was terrified. And I thought, not even one night at my shelter, so I called Shreveport. We made arrangements to get her completely to Shreveport.
So you can send them anywhere?
Well, anywhere we have the money to send them.
You have the money to send them.
Typically it's within the state, but certainly women that live close to my shelter, I wouldn't put them in my own shelter. I'd put them in another shelter that's further away.
Well, Dale, we are out of time, but you all are doing wonderful work there at
Thank
the
you.
Metropolitan
Thank you,
Center
thank
for
you for
Women
that.
and Children, a great resource. And we just thank you so much for your time and all of the information. And for those of you who are interested in volunteering, because they do need volunteers, or if you need to utilize the services that they offer, the number to reach them is 504-837-5400.
Or donate money, which obviously can go to great use.
That's right.
Donating
Thank
money
you.
is obviously always a very helpful option in light of these drastic cuts that are coming your way.
Particularly in light of that.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you both for having me.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Dale.
you.
For Attorney John Redmann, I'm Shauna Sanford. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you again.